Welcome to the Inevitable You podcast, where we give you practical tools, tips, and strategies for upgrading all aspects of your life. I'm your host, Brian Hemmer, and in each episode, I'll be going into key topics of personal development, the latest in science and psychology on how your mind works, and the best of the best out there in personal transformation, technology, and tools. So when you think about the results of your life, it really boils down to three things: how you think, how you feel, and then the actions that you take or don't take. Instead of trying to do more or do less, we're getting deep into your psychology to understand how you operate, to think differently, to feel differently, and more empowering emotions to drive new, different actions to create the results that you're looking for. So I hope you get a ton of value. If you like what you hear, please give our episode a like or a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel for updates. And if you think someone could benefit from this, please share it with them. It'd be much appreciated. And you can always visit our website, the inevitableyou.com, for more resources. You can even sign up for a free coaching session there. Connect with us on Instagram at the Inevitable You. Would love to hear from you. I'm always fielding questions from our community here, so please would love to interact with you. Again, hope you enjoy and hope to hear from you soon. All right, back with my good friend Dan Jimenez, fellow coach. How are you, Dan?
I'm doing well. How are you, Brian?
Awesome. So we were talking offline before we got on here about a client that I had recently who was wrestling with some time management issues. And so this is probably feels familiar to a lot of folks, but he would say things like, I feel so stressed out. I feel like I don't have enough time in the day. There's only 24 hours in the day. And how can I get all the things that I want to get done? And it's just time. I just don't have enough time. Feel pretty familiar. Have you heard that from any of your clients?
Yeah, totally. Especially people who are, doers, people who like to accomplish things, they're busy, oh, I'm so busy. My schedule's so full. I'm so busy. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of what I usually hear.
The busy syndrome. Yeah. Yeah.
hmm
I catch myself saying that a lot too. How are you? Oh, I'm just so busy.
So busy right now.
I'm not any more busy than I always. I mean, yeah, I get some weeks or you have more tasks and stuff, but it almost becomes this excuse, I feel like. And so on one hand, I get it. On one hand, yeah, there are 24 hours in a day. Everyone has the same amount of seconds, minutes, hours in a day, days in a week. But on the other hand, time is just an illusion, really, if you think about it. I mean, time is really just a tool that we use to track the moon's motion around the earth, right? The earth around the sun, right? It's energetic movement of planets that we track and put on a clock. And right, so we made it up in our mind, so it's not even really real other than what we make it, right? And then we just use it as a tool, like, oh, Dan, I'm going to meet you at 2:00 mountain time and you're in Hawaii, so that's 10:00 in the morning your time, right? It's a great way to organize, schedule, right?
Yeah, it can be super useful.
Yeah. So, but back to this, habitual sentence around, I don't have enough time. I only have so much time in a day. I'm stressed out. I'm so busy. Well, on one hand, yeah, if you continue saying that, it's going to continue being true, right? Like if that's the story you're running, oh, I'm just so stressed out, I don't have enough time. But what about people that say, I have all the time in the world, man, I have so much time. I have an abundance of time, or time's not even real. So time's not even a factor. I just get stuff done and I'm just productive, production machine, right? Like those are totally different speeches. But one of the things that I talked about with my client was an article that another friend of mine shared with me recently around time management. Or the title was something like, you don't have a time management problem, you have an energy management problem.
Mm.
And it was essentially saying the same thing around yeah, time, we all have the same amount of time, but what you can do within that time is really what matters. And ultimately that comes down to energy, right? Like we all have felt those times where we have all this energy and we're like super productive. We get in the zone, we get a ton done, and like an hour goes by, and maybe, you lose track of time in that moment, right? Like time is non-existent, but you're able to get more done in an hour than you were maybe in an entire day previously, right?
Right.
So like we have this experience of expanding and contracting time, but it really comes down to how much energy do you have, because then we also have the experience of being low on energy or trying to force something, and you don't, it's like you're trying to grind through something and you can't get as much done, right? So
Right.
it's not about time, it's about your energy levels, your energy management. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, to a point for sure. I think we get really wrapped up in the concept of time. We get wrapped up in the story around time, like you're saying. That's all perception. It is all how we're perceiving. Like busyness. I remember busyness was something that was really prevalent in my life probably 5, 6 years ago, and I had this really deep realization around busyness is just a perception, right? Like, show me busy, right? Like, you can't show me what busy is, right? Like, if I were to video, put a camera on you and say, show me busy, right? Like, what would it look like? It would look like, yeah, it would look like a guy typing on
Yeah.
a keyboard.
Yeah.
It would look like him getting up, making a phone call. It looked like him getting in his car, driving somewhere, him participating in, the yoga class or whatever, coming back, getting in his car, driving somewhere else. It's like there was no busyness in there. There was just things getting done, or like you mentioned, tasks. Some days I have more tasks on my schedule than less tasks.
Mm-hmm.
But the perception of being busy is how we're perceiving more tasks on a schedule versus less tasks on a schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I definitely agree in terms of like that's not the issue, or you could say one of the issues is your perception of what time actually is.
Yeah.
But think about the amount of energy you have, and that's what I got, out of the disappearing busyness from my life. I rarely use the term busy to describe how my life's going, unless I'm talking to someone who's uses that term a lot, and me being able to say busy just for conversation's sake. Oh, you get what I mean by busy.
Uh-huh.
But I usually try to say, oh, there's a lot in my schedule, or my days are packed more than they used to be with activities.
Uh-huh. Just
Just to
starting
try
to
to
talk about it differently or
exactly
perceive
just
it differently.
breaking
Yeah.
that perception. But what I found was when I was busy, my energy levels would dip, they would drain, it would be frenetic energy, so I either have no energy and really low energy, or I'd have this like really, like you showed me in just now,
Yeah.
like, oh my god, I'm like vibrating back and forth, and it's just like unsettled, and you can't really think or get stuff done productively when you're in that type of a headspace.
Yeah.
That becomes more of a force energy instead of a flow,
Yeah.
or it's I feel so overwhelmed and stressed that my energy just zapped from me. And now, even though I have the time slot to take care of the thing, my mind isn't focused, on that present moment. So I can't conjure the energy I need to effectively do
Right.
this task.
Right. And if you think about it, again, this relationship between energy and time, like if you're bringing more energy and you are clear and you are present, you're actually saving time. You are getting more time back because one, you're not, you're removing all that time that's wasted in the, like draining your energy or being stressed and worried out. And if you focus on completing a task with the energy that you have, boom, done. Now I've freed up time for more tasks, or I don't have to worry about this. And the time that I spent worrying is now gone, right? Or if you're focusing on coming with more energy, you're preserving your energy, more clear you can be, the better decisions you can make. Like the quicker decisions, the more productive and efficient you can be. Again, you're now saving so much time moving forward because you're more clear, you're more effective with the energy that you have. So, and I had this interesting conversation with the back to the client, like, he was having a tough time with it, and he's like, well, no, it's through proper, scheduling of my calendar and being efficient with my scheduling and my time and how much I can do throughout the day. It's by managing my time that I get the energy. And I'm like, well, hold on a second. Whoa, wait, let's really think about this. Like, and this is one of the, I think, common challenges with all the productivity hacks and time management tools. Like, those are great. I'm not saying those are bad tools,
Mhm.
but if the focus is primarily on that, and let me just try to structure my calendar properly and manage my time properly to get the energy, it's just a little bit backwards. Not a little bit, it is, in my opinion, backwards, because it's only through effective management of your energy that you can now be efficient with the time that you're blocking off. I think that becomes like that should be the focal point. The emphasis should be placed on how can I show up today with the most energy. And that might be sleeping more, that might be eating well, it might be exercise, taking time to exercise or go on a walk or go meditate or whatever those energy boosting things are. Now for that 1 or 2 hours that I've chunked out, I'm coming with all of me, not a depleted form of me. Now you're increasing efficiency.
Yeah. And to touch on the productivity hacks of time management and scheduling everything out, one of the most powerful reasons that that does work, right, when implemented, is it allows you to free up mental energy that was stuck in, oh, I have to get this done, oh, I have to get that done.
Yeah.
Because paired with this, my disappearing of busyness that I experienced, I did also have uh, a increased uh, control over my schedule, and I would schedule stuff that comes up, like, oh man, I know I have to send an email about member participation in some event that's coming up. Okay, Thursday at 9 a.m. is a half an hour block for me to sit down and write that email out. Well, because I scheduled it for Thursday, I can forget about it now until Thursday when it pops up. And so instead of it taking up, like if you think about programs running in the background of your computer, slowing down your computer,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
That was something I had running. It was running. Oh, remember that? Oh shoot! Oh god damn! I gotta do that email. Oh yep. That email. Nope. I put it on Thursday, and now I forgot about it. And it's like
Yeah.
that. I think
You
is the
took it from
magic
this
of the scheduling.
took it from this field of possibilities that you're spinning your wheels and subconsciously thinking about and collapsing it onto a piece of paper or a calendar on your computer that boom, remove. Now I can really spin my wheels on the thing that matters most to me right now.
Yeah, well, if you can get it all out of your head in that manner, right, it just frees up that energy.
Yeah.
And now your energy is not being used on trying to remember some other task. Now you're not present in the moment. So you're not going to be in a state of flow, because in order to be in a state of flow, you need to be present, not focused on other things,
Yeah.
right? Like if you have this stuff in the background. So it's funny because these productivity hacks on the surface look like, oh, if I just plan out my day. Well, guess what else you have to do with that? You actually have to do your plan, right?
Yeah.
Like you can
Right.
you can plan it all out and then you don't do it, and then guess what happens? You start worrying again,
Yeah.
right? Like it all comes flooding back. And then, to your point about energy management, guess what happens? Your energy's drained again, and great, you planned it out, you managed your time, but you didn't execute on it, and now you have no energy to actually follow through.
Yeah, exactly. And even just thinking about that, for me at least, it's like to approach it from the angle of, okay, if I just focus really hard on scheduling to the minute my entire day and, doing that, feels exhausting. That feels busy. That feels like, versus how much could I get done in, let's say, 1 hour if I come with this, like the maximum amount of energy that I have because like I said, I slept well. I did self-care things. I did things to maybe even there's something to be said about removing the energy depleters, like could be social media or
Mhm.
could be toxic people in your life, distancing yourself from that, like being more conscious about where you're emitting, where you're spreading energy away, right? To
Mhm.
preserve it for the times that matter most when you need it.
Yeah.
Like,
Do
yeah.
even commitments that you really enjoy. Uh, Last year, I was a board member for this nonprofit Project Send It. I was on a founding member. I was on it for like 3 years, and I was really struggling to uh, find, like, it felt like such a huge thing in my life. And in reality, it took 4 to 5 hours a month, right? Like 4 or 5 hours a month.
Uh-huh.
However, it was only a 90 minutes like board meeting once a month. And then there'd be some tasks that, were takeaways, or we'd get a group text or an email saying, hey, review this resume, and then, say yes or no about it, about this candidate or whatever it was. And all of those tasks would only take a few minutes here and there, but the mental energy that it took up, and I'd feel guilt about not getting back to that email, or like I said, I'd see the text come in, and I'm on my way to pick up my kids from school, and I'm like, oh, I have to get back to that later. And so I just like file it away right here to get back to it later. And what I realized when I finally let it go and I stepped down from the board, it wasn't 5 hours a month that I gained back. It was probably 20 to 30 hours a month. Like,
Mm.
it felt like such a giant weight off my shoulders. All of a sudden, I went from not having enough time to feeling like I'm like,
Yeah.
did I just get rid of like a part-time job? It's
Yeah.
like, and
Yeah.
so
You
there's,
did.
to your point though, yeah. But to your point, like, it's these little things like the people in our lives or the situations that we put ourselves in that are draining our energy, and we don't even realize how they're draining our energy.
Yeah.
So it is really important to be able to manage those things.
Yeah. Yeah. And as we uncovered with my client, it was like started looking at some other things that were occurring. Like he was neglecting working out. He said he wanted Epic Health, but wasn't going on the walks he said he wanted to go on, or wasn't going to the gym, or wasn't, was neglecting his diet here and there. So like the things that, and he would acknowledge, yeah, I get energy from doing those things, and I'm not doing them because I'm so busy. And how do I have time to do all that? I have to, I have work, and then I have this.
Mhm.
It's no, you feel this way because you've now just neglected the things that boost your energy, and you'll run the story that it's time's fault, even though it doesn't exist in
Right.
our minds, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
changing the paradigm from fixating on time to fixating on energy. Completely changes everything.
Oh, 100%. Our stories, our perception, it's what we talk about all the time. It's the operating system, right? It's like, what are you viewing reality through? What's the lens that you're doing it? What are the programs that are running? And if busyness and that I don't have enough time, these become your reality. It's not to say that, us saying that it's not real doesn't negate the fact that it is real for you. It
Right,
is real for the
right,
person who's experiencing it.
right.
It's if you've ever seen those like Facebook memes. You ever seen a Facebook meme, Brian? No.
Once or two,
Uh,
one or twice. Yeah.
uh, it'll be like this person who's like flailing around in water, and then like someone comes by and like pulls them, and they realize they're in 2 feet of water and they can stand up perfectly fine,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know? And it's the like that this is me in my life. It is a perception. The reality is, oh my God, I'm drowning, I can't swim. But then, someone comes by and just changes your perception of like, oh, you aren't in deep water. It's like
yeah,
you're actually able to stand. So that's just to say, like, your reality is very real to you. And when you do have that hold of busyness or time, as the thing that's really controlling you, and that if you just get this one thing right, then it's going to keep controlling you until you shift your story, until you shift that perspective.
yeah. Very well said. I don't think I can say it any better. So, yeah, I think we'll cap it there unless there's any other final thoughts you had.
No, this is great. It's always a healthy reminder when we do these of like, oh yeah, where have I lost that in my life? Where have I backslid? So, yeah,
Yeah, I
thanks for
mean,
the conversation.
I don't mean to I don't mean to disparage or, it's not like you're stupid, you're bad for thinking this way, because I'm guilty of this too. It's and why we always have these conversations because it's things that we struggle with too. It's very easy to be in that paradigm because we've been programmed this way, that it's time. We only have 24 hours in a day, man. And we have a expiration date at some point. So gotta maximize the time, right? Like, and you wake up to an alarm clock that shows the time, and it's easy to get sucked into that old paradigm, that old model of the world. But if we just think differently, if we just shift it a little bit, then everything changes.
Yeah. Not to mention, and this is a can of worms for another time,
Yeah,
but the idea that our society praises busyness and praises hard work and praises,
right. The
overextending
badge of
yourself.
honor.
It's a badge of honor. It's how you get love and fulfillment. And so like you not only is the narrative like that, you've got a lot of core operating systems that you need to look into to maybe break that relationship or adjust that relationship of what busyness means to you, because a lot of
Right.
people they want it in their
Yeah.
lives.
I'm going to start saying I'm productive instead of I'm busy.
I like it.
Cool, man. Well, great stuff as always. Appreciate it.
Yeah, take care, man.